All right, so we're out here today. We're out here, RDMFJ, a couple of my dudes out here. We're going to bring and do our budget gun shoot for the year. So this is the first match, where it's a standard IDPA club match. Nothing too crazy. But the question is it was kind of posed among the three of us, was what can you do? Can you go spend a couple $100 and instead of buying $500 Glocks, go buy a $200, well, some of us picked other things than others.
Yeah.
And we're going to see if you can buy that, and then how much money, because 300 rounds, $300 worth of 9mm cost you to practice and actually get good with the actual gun. So we're out here today. We haven't done this yet. We've all got a bone stock model. So I'll go first. My pick for the $200 budget gun match is the Taurus 9mm Millennium G2, now available as the G2C. So that is, right now you can get them at street price around $200. So I think that this one is going to be the best one for it, right?
Probably.
Probably. You guys think it's probably going to be? I think that this one's probably the best.
It's got the better trigger.
It definitely has the best trigger out of three. So TK, what you got here?
I went with the Evidence Room Glock 40. It's a Hipoint C9. Trigger's fucking terrible. It feels like I'm pulling the trigger against about 10 pounds of sandpaper, but it has a way better trigger than some of the other guns out here, and I'm just hoping that I can
just one.
I can embarrass a few people that come out here with $500 guns and finish somewhere in the middle of the pack is my goal.
Yeah, awesome. The middle of the pack works because that's competitive if you're middle of the pack.
Yeah. I'm running the Sccy CPX2.
The Sccy CPX.
Trigger is I need a taxi to get me back forward. It's a really long trigger, but we'll see how it happens. I think I'm going to beat O'Brien by sheer, skill of speed.
Sheer skill of speed, huh?
Yeah,
It's not that speed that counts.
Yeah.
It's the speed.
It's the speed. So run it. So I think the predictions we've been talking about this. We predict, actually, all of us think that the guns will actually make it through without a massive failure. So I think that's going to be one of the things. But one of the things that's going to be academically interesting about this is you're putting the guns under pressure. And the question is, can you actually get through a match? And a match typically around here is about 100 rounds. We're just running all Winchester white box ammunition, so it's all kind of the same level playing field on that. And I think that the first question is really going to be, is it going to be a jam-o-matic? Are you going to just have no fun out here running it because you're sitting here constantly clearing malfunctions and everything else? So I think that academically it will be interesting to see how many failures we actually get today.
I think it goes beyond that. I think it goes on, like, can you spend $200 on a pistol that you can actually use in a self-defense situation?
Right.
If shit hits the fan and you got to, go to town, go to work, which one for $200 is going to give you the best tool?
Right. And then the other end of it is you always hear the stories about guys like, yeah, I love Hipoints. I've run them at a freaking match, and I've never seen anyone run one at a match.
Not once.
And so now here you go. I got a guy to freaking step up and run one.
I ain't scared of them. I've owned them before. They run good.
Yeah.
Out of the box, they run good.
So the question
their
is,
problems are magazines. Their magazines suck.
Now you're running what, 3?
I'm running the 3 10-rounders, and I have my 8-rounder to load my Barney round. The 8-rounder blows. It jams like a son of a bitch if you fully load it. 10-rounders run great.
Okay, so you're running 3 10-round mags. And then you
10
got
rounds.
Just the
standard factory 12 rounds.
Yeah.
And I went with just a couple of the standard factory mags on mine, but also the advantage to the Taurus is that it takes regular bone stock 226 mags. So I do have a 226 mag for my 3rd mag in. And we'll see if that's actually true or not, because if it's true that it really does run these, I mean, that's what everybody says, but put it out here under pressure, try to run, move.
The issue you might have is your grip in a self-defense situation. Is it going to change the angle that the magazine feeds?
And anybody can go out and buy one of these guns and shoot 300 rounds through it and put it on video and say it's a great gun.
On the range.
On the range. But what does that really tell you?
That your weapon can shoot on a square range.
Right. So the question is when we're running 180, when you've got reloads, when you've got dynamic movement, when you see guns fail, most of the time you see them fail in a competition environment.
The Hipoint on the reload, that's its downfall, because I have to rip the mag out because of the magazine safety. If you remove it, they drop free. With it in, you have to pull the mag out.
Right. And I think, Hauk, your biggest issue today is going to be that long trigger reset.
We'll give you an idea of what it looks like. Ready?
right? So now he's got to come all the way back to there to get it to go again.
The issue with the Hipoint today is going to be slide recoil. I have to wait for the Uber driver to take the slide back into battery
They put an imprint on my thumb.
before I can fire again. Hipoint slide needs lightened.
That's the one thing I will give the G2. The trigger is, I mean, it's a very short reset. It's extremely short. And a lot of guys don't like it because it's so short, but I think that it's
very light trigger.
It's a very light trigger.
It
it's
is
short.
nice.
I don't like the sights on my gun at all.
Oh, they suck.
They make Glock sights look nice, which is saying something.
Your instinct shooting with that thing.
You know, the sights on the Canic aren't too, not Canic, that's what I normally run, but the Sccy aren't too bad. It's easy to acquire
aren't bad
target.
either. Hipoints come factory with a little color so you can see them, but they are still kind of shitty because they're small.
And see, what I got is just the standard like white dot, and then I also black out the rear. But the adjustable rear sight on these sucks, and the front sight is just a chunk of plastic. So we're gonna see how that's gonna go today. I'm really interested. So stick around. We're gonna go ahead and give this a try, and hopefully you guys will get something out of it. So. You guys got anything else?
Prove that you don't need to buy a Glock for self-defense.
There you go.
Use a Hipoint.
There you go.
Stand by.
Strong hand across. Switch to weak hand. Come back across. Stand by.
That's terrible.
If you are finished, unload. Go clear. Slide forward. Hammer down. Holster.
Stand by.
Right? Yeah, that was about it. I knew how to.
15-19.
Stand by.
Show clear. Slide forward. Go quicker. Hands up.
Are you ready? Stand by.
Fine. There's my procedural, boys.
Yeah.
It's not. I probably will. I gotta load up. Yeah, make ready.
Does he have 4?
Are you ready? Stand by.
Okay, so first match, budget gun shoot off. It was
bad.
Doubled my times.
It probably did double our times. That's absolutely the case. I think I had probably one run where I would have been somewhat close to the 320, that last stage, which you guys will probably see. I'll roll it in, at least some of the highlights. One thing I noticed is we all had malfunctions, did we not?
The only problem I had was the slide not locking back to the rear.
Right.
That was it.
Double feeds.
I had 2 bad double feeds
I had 2.
where it was just bad.
The
double
mag
feeds.
didn't sit.
Yep.
on
I
one of
had
them.
2 in the same stage. It was a magazine issue. The feed lips are messed up. It's a known high point issue.
Yeah, so stage 1, go out there, everything's looking great. First time I fire, I feel the magazine unseat from the firearm. So I cleared it, but it was in fact a legitimate malfunction, I think.
Stand by. Oh shit.
Yep, so there was that one, but that one I did pretty good on the time on. And then a couple other times, like I think stage 4 or 5, I wound up with a couple of, we'll probably roll up the footage and roll it in here of, you know, a couple of minor malfunctions going on with that. So it was kind of like, well, you know, you just got to fix it.
Thank you for saying that, because I about walked over there.
Slow that loud.
The one
Yeah.
that I had the same issue twice because I reinserted the same mag after I cleared it. Happened again. Dumped the mag. Moved on.
Are you ready? Stand by.
Double feed. Fix it! Wow.
If you are finished.
Do you think that yours was a firearm issue or a gripping issue?
A little of both. I think it's more that trigger, because I'm waiting, pulling. I didn't short throw the trigger at all today, not
Right.
once, which I was pretty.
No, you
impressed
did
with.
not short stroke it. I was surprised. I was expecting you to
I
short
did
stroke.
notice that all your shots were going high left.
A lot of them high left, and then
High
when we
left.
got to the steels, they were low.
Oh, speaking of steel.
Wait till you see this. This is good.
Are you ready? Stand by.
Everybody bringing some extra rounds for him.
Come on, Franklin.
Shut up.
Low.
Oh. I'm not gonna be able to finish it.
That's it.
Sorry. I had to go to the safe area to get some trigger work.
Yeah, I actually
Started to get a little bit better with that trigger.
Yeah.
And I shot well after that. Oh, the trigger is really short.
It's really short?
Yeah. Sarcasm.
Oh, okay. So that's why you're screwing the pooch today?
Yep.
Yeah, is that trigger pull?
Yep. So I'm getting a feel.
Getting some extra reps in. We're in the safe area. That's kind of what you do. If you get a chance. You don't get a lot of time to sit around during IDPA matches, but yeah.
And then
you just, I think that's the problem with shooting steel in a match. You don't think, you're like, oh, shoot a steel. We shoot steel on a square range all the time. It's awesome, whatever.
Nope.
But the problem is you actually get like under the clock, under time, and miss a steel plate. It just,
stress,
it
the
just
adrenaline.
is like, oh my God, what is going on?
And then you're anticipating that long Uber ride back to the trigger pull.
In the end, it came down to trigger pull.
Yeah.
A little bit of the grip,
So what do you think was the best part of doing this? What did we learn the most? What was the best run you had? What was the best thing you learned and took away from it?
I mean, I learned Hipoint will run.
Yeah.
It'll hit targets. The sight's terrible.
Yeah.
The trigger is terrible.
Right.
And their magazines, as long as you keep those feet lips square, they work. Otherwise, once those feet lips mess up, throw the mag in trash.
Yeah. What you got?
The Sccy didn't malfunction. I mean, a slide locking back to the rear.
It's interesting to note, and I wanted to put this in here too. We had a couple of newer shooters out here, and one had a Glock 43, I think.
Yeah.
Single stack, the one that's the single stack, and he had just as many malfunctions as we did.
Yep.
Yeah.
As if not more. He was never locking back. It was a couple other issues.
I did watch him shoot. A lot of his malfunctions were due to limp wrist.
Okay, and that's shooter induced, but there's also
it's still a weapon malfunction.
It's still a function, and on top of that, just because you go spend $500 on a gun doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get. You still have to have some. If you buy a Ferrari, it doesn't make you a race driver. If you buy a Glock, it doesn't make you a great IDPA shooter. You've got to work on that. So.
And I think I'm going to continue with this Sccy throughout the season. I had fun with it. It was a lot more fun than running the Canic. The Canic, I could have been just right down the line and keeping up with the faster guys. But that Sccy, you got to work on your fundamentals a hell of a lot more. You got to focus on your trigger squeeze. You got to focus on your sight picture. Because I tried doing the double eyes open, and it was just, it's too much with that long trigger pull. You got to dial it in and just sit there and wait for it. So
I do think the next match I am going to try the G2C.
Yeah.
See how that.
And I think that in mine, I think that in the last stage of the day, honestly, I really am going to make this statement, and I'm kind of worried about it, but I really honestly think this. I don't know that I would have done any better with my SIG on that last stage.
On the last stage?
On the last stage, it ran perfect. Everything was going. I may have not dropped a couple of shots, but that was it. And I don't think I only dropped. I was only like 2 down on that stage or whatever.
It's all was 2 down.
So overall scores, these two have been like competing all day against each other. So he wound up coming out on top in the first match.
The G2C.
The G2C and me
had a 257.
So a 257 overall
the
match time.
Hipoint came in second with a 306.
Okay.
And I was
and the
at like
Sccy came in at 326.
Yeah. But why did that happen? Because it's 26 seconds difference, and here's what, or 20 seconds difference. Yep. But what happened that very first stage?
The very first stage, I missed 2 targets completely.
There was that and that steel.
The wind. It was the wind. The wind threw the bullet off.
That's what it was.
Yeah, there you go. Yep, there we go. Shooter ready. Stand by. Uh-oh. If you are clear, slide forward. Range is safe. 2082.
2082.
Horrible. We got 5. 2.
Yep. Hey, Ben. You hit the perf.
I don't know. You want to give him a 0 or 1 on that?
Nah, it's a 1. It's a 1.
So 1.
No, I did the same thing everybody else did. Missed that one completely.
Look at that. It's so fast it didn't even
Holy hell, 10 and 10.
10. Hey, he hit it!
Yeah.
I got it twice.
He hit it.
I got it twice.
Yeah, you get this one, but you screw these two up.
Yeah, he gets one falling already.
I'm gonna buy a Sccy. Spend a whole lot of time with that trigger, or just do the right thing and go put a wolf trigger in it because
you know,
you'll shoot better with it.
I will say it's a great defense weapon. It's not a great competition weapon.
But
I don't know how you can say that.
I don't think that, like, fundamentally, is it wrong as a could it be pushed into this role? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
We've proven that today.
Yeah.
You
He
can
didn't
do
have any
that.
problems hitting paper targets. It
No.
was,
Zero malfunctions.
No, you actually, I think of the three, the Sccy ran the best.
That absolutely did.
that's why I can put it as a good defensive weapon, because with most defensive shootings happen within 7 yards.
And
Within
yeah,
7 yards, you didn't miss.
right. No, and you didn't. You were. There was a couple times when we'll roll some footage in here, but I think there's a couple of times where you wound up with a couple of double taps that were like legitimately
Very good.
two
but
on top of each other.
You try to speed that trigger up and everything just goes to hell.
But did you feel like that was I don't know that when you look at the footage or when you watch that you see that time disadvantage. And you'll see it in the scores.
Yeah.
But I don't think you'll actually, like, if you were shooting at me with that or shooting at me with your Canic, I don't know that I would tell that much of a difference.
Watch yourself, yeah. Give me a nod when you're ready.
Dumpster fire.
Stand by.
Whoa.
He waited, and that's why it took so long.
I waited.
Well,
You know what I mean? I don't know that it's...
yeah, but a split second here is.
I hear you, yeah. It's, you know, you'll lose by, like, a 1/12 of a second on one of these stages. I think you guys were apart.
Yeah, a tenth of a
A
second.
10th of a second.
We
So,
both had a dumpster fire.
you know, is a 10th of a... Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
He
It was
ran out of
alright.
ammo, and I just missed.
I couldn't hit a 4-inch steel target at what, 10 yards?
Yeah. It turns out that I'm the best one on my knees. Who knew? So,
I hit every target, including the hostage.
yeah. So, but I think that for the money, all of these are pretty good guns. I'm not really finding a
work.
whole lot to complain about.
I'm not going to dog the problem solver, that's for sure.
Oh no, absolutely. We're gonna put some footage in there. You freaking out, screaming out the problem solver as you that was awesome.
Evidence room Glock 40.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
I can do it or you can do it. Doesn't matter.
However, no matter. Are you ready? Stand by.
Uh-oh. What do you guess for talking?
This might be the last economy gun match, huh?
Nope. Oh. Hit the ledge. He shot the ledge.
Ranges,
So
they work.
It did work. You can come out here and compete with them. So I think for the first match, no major catastrophes, no catastrophes. You know.
I do think the next match we're going to have a fourth shooter.
Yeah.
Maybe even a fifth.
Maybe
Yeah.
a fifth.
Maybe
So-
a fifth.
Get some bigger sample size. And let's face it, a lot of guys, people, you know, talk about Hipoints and Scys and Taurus G2s, like, oh, if you can't afford something, get this. But let's be honest with you, a lot of gun guys have them too. You know, it's at the gun show, it's $200. You just buy one and throw it in the drawer.
The
you
Glock
know?
guys out here were running around like chicken with head cut off, putting rounds down range all over the place.
Right,
They weren't very accurate to begin with. They were just beating the time.
right.
And once again, trigger upgrades. These guys out here had
they had-
much better
Yeah,
guns.
you got a race gun. You're gonna. I mean, that's like saying that a mediocre driver with a Corvette is going to be a superior driver with an Impala at some point.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. So
I'm not mad about it. Like I said, I'm definitely going to continue to run this Sccy. If I got to run the Hipoint, I'm going to wear gloves.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to
Oh
rock.
yeah, talk about that too, because that was another thing that happened.
Fixing a double feed. Highpoint decided their infinite wisdom. We're going to take an Allen wrench. We're going to shave it down, put it in as an extractor, and if you catch your finger on it, it will slice you open.
So you did wind up walking away with some blood on the gun, huh?
Yes, I did.
Oh, that's all right. That's
Blood,
all right.
sweat, and tears and all of this. My tears, his sweat, his blood.
Yeah, because I was sweating, I'll tell you that.
I was crying.
So, all right, guys. Well, I think that's good. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you like it, go ahead and throw it a like, throw it and share it on wherever you share this kind of stuff, and we'd appreciate it. Thanks.